Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. I'm excited about this one. Let's get into it. Okay, tonight I have got a sample on the bar. Bam! This is Russell's Reserve 15-year bourbon whiskey. This was sent to me by non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang. Dave, thank you so much. This was my whiskey bucket list bourbon for the year. I've got a few on that list. This was certainly one of them that I did not think I was going to get a chance to try. So Dave, this is just incredible. Thank you so much for this. So getting into the stats here, obviously 15-year age stated, 117.2 proof, Russell's Reserve coming out of Wild Turkey. And I am a Wild Turkey fan in general, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I was so excited to hopefully try this one someday. So this is the 2024 release. They had a 13-year that came out last couple years. They've had the single rick house. They've had a few different limited releases coming out. So I don't know if the 15-year is going to be a regular thing or if it's just a 2024. Or no, who knows, maybe next year will be 17. But this comes in, I think, at a suggested retail price of $230 to $250, I think. On the nose, it's unbelievable. You know, whenever there's a bourbon like this that comes out that's one of these limited releases, it's from a distillery you love, high age stated, high proof, relatively speaking. It's easy to get your hopes up, but then it's also easy to think that maybe there's a lot of hype, and a lot of times these allocated bottles don't always live up to the, the reputation that they get or the hype that they get surrounding them. So far on the nose, this is incredible. It's almost like it smells round, if that makes any sense at all. Like there's no sharpness coming off of this. There's a spice to it, but there's no, like the alcohol is, the ethanol is very, very tame. And so it's not overwhelming and it just makes way for nothing but flavor. There's like a spice to it. A lot of times on Wild Turkey products, I get cinnamon. And I'm not getting that on this. I'm getting a spice, but it's not cinnamon. It's almost like peppery or something like that. There's like it doesn't come across as terribly sweet on the nose. It's like it's deep and it's dark. Maybe if there's any sweetness, it's almost like a really dark brown sugar, molasses, kind of leathery definitely. And like a little, did I say tobacco? There's like almost like a little bit of pipe tobacco trying to come through. The other thing I get sometimes off of Wild Turkey products, and this is going to sound weird as a tasting or nosing note, but kind of like varnish, like furniture varnish in a weird way. But it works. It's a good thing, which I know that's a weird sort of note. But anyway, enough blabbing about the nose. Let's get into the palate. Cheers. That is absolutely incredible. That, I don't even know what to say about that. Just off of that first sip, this is one of those bourbons that's an experience. Super, super rich and oily and thick, which in my opinion is really what kind of separates like even like a good bourbon, a really good bourbon versus like a premium bourbon is when you get that really oily, thick mouthfeel. And I think for, beginners, if you're not terribly far into your bourbon experience yet, the best way I always try to think to describe that is when you get that really thick kind of oiliness, it just kind of brings everything out and makes the whole experience just that much better. It's almost like compare it to like making chocolate milk with skim milk versus whole milk. Like it's just a whole different ball game at that point. And this thing is just thick and oily. The non-cinnamon spice is there. It's more of a black pepper, just like on the nose. This is one of those ones that tastes dusty. Let's go in for another sip here. Oh yeah, that's just deep, dark, rich. That leathery note is coming through more. Interestingly enough, there's an oak note, but it's not like over oak like sometimes a high age bourbon can get. To be honest, like the oak isn't what's up front for me. It's definitely there, and you're gonna have that at 15 years. But it's really just this deep, dark, rich, leathery, tobacco-y, black pepper. It almost like, it's one of those ones that tastes dusty. Like I've never actually been in a rick house before. I would love to go, so I got to plan a trip down to Kentucky. Not that there's not distilleries in other places, but let's be honest. So I've never been in one before, but whenever I see one, people like talk about the smell inside a rick house and the experience of being there. And whenever I see one, I kind of picture in my mind what that smell might be like. And this tastes like what I think that might smell like, if that makes any sense at all.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
This is just unbelievable. Interestingly enough, I'm not getting any sort of fruit notes off of this. Sometimes on the higher age ones, you get a bit of cherry from that oak presence, and I'm really not getting that one. The varnish is coming through a little bit. Again, I know that's weird, but in a good way. Let's get one more sip before we get out of here. You know what this is making me think of? It's almost like concentrated bourbon. Like you ever get the orange juice that comes in the concentrate, like the frozen, and you gotta mix it with water, but you don't put as much water in? It's almost like that. Or like you go to this, like you ever seen that episode of The Simpsons where they go to the slushy machine and they just put all syrup in there?
Give us a super squishy. One that's made entirely out of syrup.
Entirely an all syrup super squishy? Such a thing has never been done?
Just make it happen. It's so thick.
It's almost like they took like pure, just amazing, like the best bourbon concentrate you can think of, and then just added a little bit of water to it. It's just amazing. This might honestly be one of my top all-time whiskeys. And full disclosure, I did see a couple reviews about this, and a lot of people are saying whiskey of the year. A lot of people are saying how incredible it is, and maybe it's one of their best ever. And typically when I see those, it ends up like, I don't go into it with those, sort of like that high of a bar, because I'm always like, well, I mean, come on, is it really that great? I almost actually get a little more skeptical of it. And not that I'm not trusting what the reviewer is saying, because half the time these are my friends. It's just that I'm looking at it going like, am I gonna think it's really that good? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. In this case, I absolutely do. Which, in conclusion, is a huge bummer, because I'm sure I will never, ever get a chance to own a bottle of this. So again, Dave, thank you so much for sharing this with me and allowing me to get to experience this. This is absolutely incredible. If you have a chance to maybe even get a pour of this at a bar, I would pay a premium to experience this bourbon. The $230 to $250 MSRP, I've never paid that much for a bourbon. I might pay it for this one. Nothing I would really go secondary for, when you get something like $500-600 or something like that. But I think I would pay the $230 to $250 for this at MSRP. And again, I've never spent that much on a bourbon, but this is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, in conclusion, this is amazing. I'd love to get a hold of a bottle of it. If you have a bottle of this, congratulations. If you ever get a chance to try this, I would highly recommend it. So yeah, there you have it, folks. This has been Russell's Reserve 2024 15-year on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.